how to forgive. So I spent a lot of time working this through because, oh, sometimes trying to forgive is like, how on earth do you do it? How do you work this through if something's happened and it's been really tough for you? And there's been times in my life where, I've really had to forgive people. At least that's really what I've been told forgiveness is, but actually from doing my own inner work on this, it's really not the case. So, many times in life people think it's about, letting someone else off the hook, but actually it's more about unhooking ourselves. So I want to talk about why this all matters in the first place, why forgiveness is important, and also talk a little bit about something you can use to help you with forgiveness, because when you do that, you can let go. And also understand that when you are forgiving, you're actually clearing things from your emotions. And that is so powerful, because obviously they can really hold you back when you've got negative emotions. And we've talked about that in some of my other downloads before. So, okay, why does it matter? Well, to be honest, it's so important because when you don't do it, when you don't actually work through forgiving or forgiveness, you're the one that's holding it and carrying it. And remember, it's an emotion, something's happened, and you're finding it hard, you're holding it in your body, and that affects the heart and your nervous system. So when you do work through forgiveness, it actually clears any stuck emotional energy. And yeah, there's other tools for this to help you clear these emotions, but we're talking specifically about forgiveness. What's really important to know is when you are forgiving people, it's not saying, oh yeah, that was all right, do it again. No chance. You're saying, really, I'm not holding this anymore. Because you know what it's like when you just can't forgive. You're kind of like a dog with a bone and you can't get over it and you just won't let it go and you just keep on and on about it, whether or not you say it to the person or it's wrangling you inside. It's sort of, you're just carrying it around. And it's really unpleasant and heavy and weighs you down. So that's why it's really important, because those feelings, as we know, can affect you physically, mentally. We need to release them. And, I've had times in the past where with people I've just thought, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And I've listened to other people who've been through some serious things, and I've seen them just hanging on to it, and it definitely makes you ill. And I've seen other people that I've been so inspired by that have been through the most devastating situations, loss of loved one due to lack of care from others, and has been able to forgive it. And it's truly inspirational to see how they've risen beyond it, and it's so powerful. And I've seen that in my treatment room, and the difference between the two types is a reason why I had to get my head around this, because I don't want to be the person that carries around this, horrible emotional block, like a weight, and this kind of toxicity. I want to be the person that's able to work it through and clear it at the root and come out stronger because of it. And that's the people that inspire me that I've seen in my treatment room. Those are the ones I want to be like. It's kind of making a conscious decision to be like that. So yeah, in my own life with different things and people, because people do things, whether they do it intentionally or not is another conversation entirely. But you're going to come across this. You're going to get to a point where somebody might hurt you or let you down or not be the person you thought they were going to be, or maybe they've already done it, and you're carrying this stuff around with you already. So what I want to tell you, and this is so important, is that all forgiveness is self-forgiveness. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. All forgiveness is self-forgiveness. And when you know that, then you can deal with anything you need to forgive. So you might think, what are you talking about? I didn't do it to me. Somebody else did it to me. Yeah, okay. I hear you. But, sorry, I'm waiting for Betsy because she's lagging behind. She's sniffing everything that's going at the moment. Often what's happening is, really with this, is you're not forgiving someone else for doing whatever they do. You're forgiving the part of you that held on to feeling the pain of it, or the reaction you've had from it, or the belief perhaps that you had initially. So, you might think someone is a certain way because you're basing it on your own values and principles, but they turn out to be something completely different. Then you're forgiving the part of you that believed that they were that way. Because when you forgive that, it's really important that you notice that you're normally angry at yourself for believing it or not seeing it coming, not saying something, speaking up for yourself, holding your shape, keeping your boundaries, or perhaps not being able to deal with it or recover from the shock of it or whatever's happened quickly enough, and it's just hanging around like a bad smell. So, that forgiveness piece is really about self-forgiveness. And when you know that you've got all the resources you need somewhere inside of you to help you with forgiveness. And I always see forgiveness as kind of like a three-pronged approach. First, you have to accept that it's happened. And this is a different conversation. But then you need to work through forgiveness, which is what we're talking about today. And then, part of that is about letting go, and doing some forgiveness work will help you to let go. But there may be more that you need to do. And that's kind of the final piece. And I call it the trifecta of peace, because when you know how to accept, forgive, and let go, you can deal with most emotional roller coasters that come your way. So back to forgiveness. The forgiveness ritual that I found very useful and I've used a lot is called Ho'oponopono. You might have heard of this, but if not, it's a simple Hawaiian forgiveness ritual or prayer. And it's simply 4 sentences. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. So whatever happens to you, you work through those sentences. And it might take days, weeks, months, but that's what you do. You just keep coming back to it. And so what you might be saying is, for example, about the situation, you might say, I am sorry that I fell for this. I'm sorry that I didn't see that you were bad for me. I'm sorry that I didn't realise that you would do this to me. I'm sorry that you didn't behave how I expected. Whatever it is, you say, I'm sorry. But it's all about meaning it. You've got to actually mean it. You've got to let it soften you inside. So you've got to imagine the situation as well when you're working through this. And I don't just run through these 4 sentences, actually move it through, feel it in your body, what happened. And say, I'm sorry, not to the person, but to yourself. And then the next sentence is, please forgive me. And it's about allowing yourself to, not beating yourself up inside, forgiving yourself for being in that situation in the first place. And, really being honest about forgiving yourself, not constantly banging the drum. You did this and you did that and you didn't see it and you should have, and I shouldn't have married him, or whatever it is. Forgiving yourself, please forgive me. And then you're moving on to thank you. And thank you is all about lessons. You know, everybody you meet in your life is going to give you a lesson. And the beauty of that is to like notice the lesson. You really need to see what the lesson was, because once you see that lesson, you are able to stop that happening again, that pattern. So if, for example, you're always bending out of shape for other people, you say, thank you for showing me that I've been doing that. Thank you, because I'm not doing that anymore. And you know, that's so this is a really key bit. It's about thanking them for the lesson they gave you, so that you can correct your behavior, and so that you don't want to repeat this lesson. You know, once you've learnt the lesson and integrated it, that's it, you're done, and you can move on, and you know that's not going to be tripping you up again in the future. And if the lesson is something you need to look at, perhaps it's a shadow, something you've been pushing away as part of yourself, you can do some shadow work around it. But for now, just thank you. And then the last sentence, I love you, is really about just bringing that peace to the situation. And again, through all of these things, you're really moving it through in your body. And you can, if it doesn't work for you just saying it to yourself, you could say all of these sentences to your inner child, or you could say it to the situation rather than yourself if you find that difficult to begin with. But if it doesn't feel, oh, I don't mean it, I didn't really feel like it worked, that's okay. Just keep going with it, because over time it does soften. I mean, I remember when I was doing it and I was working it through and I was thinking, there is just no chance. There's no chance that I'm going to forgive this situation. But over time, I'm telling you, it really does soften you. So yeah, I've always noticed now from here on in that if I am angry about something, or really, how dare you, how could you, spending some time working through this practice helps me to see, actually, oh, it's me, I'm angry at myself. Why did I'm beating myself up about this. It's me and myself I need to forgive, not the person that did it. Thanks for the lesson. And I'm not doing that one again, you know. So it's always helped me clear things up. Not for that person, that's for their work to do, you know, that's for them. But for me. And it's so good when you've done it, because you're bringing that situation into the light, you're working through it, and you're releasing it. So give it a go. If you're holding on to something, if it's a little grudge or tiny little ache inside that feels horrible, try saying those words and just notice if something shifts. It might be a gradual unraveling, like layers. But yeah, it's a freeing ritual. It's a freeing way of releasing that feeling that forgiveness, releasing the grudge. And all it is for you. It's not for anybody else. And that's enough. Do it for yourself, because that's what the inner work is. So yeah, give it a go. Let me know how you get on.